This next one shows us how we can use one module in another module. So once we already have it written, we can use it again without having to rewrite it every time. And so we have first this module homework 4_4, and we're going to draw a circuit that shows what this does. So don't worry about the box for right now. We're just going to draw the circuit that goes with this. It has inputs C, D, and E. So I'll just have C, D, E. I know those are going to be inputs. It's going to have an output H somewhere. It's got a wire B, and that B is going to be somewhere inside. Well, now I'm going to talk about the box, inside the box, but it's not an input or output. So here we're assigning B to be the AND of C or D and not C or not E. Okay, so I have an OR of C and D. And I have an OR of not C and not E. And I am ANDing those two things together. And I am calling this, just within my program, I'm calling that B. And then I'm assigning H to be B and E. So that's the circuit that goes with that. So we're done. So now in my next program, I want to have 3 of these circuits, and I don't want to rewrite them every time. And so I'm just going to, when I want one of them, I am going to use this name right here, HW4_4A. And I'm going to say, okay, I want to get a copy of what it was that I did before. So now we're going to take a look at this box, and we're going to say, okay, our inputs are C, D, E, and our output is H. And so that order matters now, that R, when I do this first one, R goes into that first input, A0 goes into the second one, B0 goes into the third one, and S is our output. So this is saying that when I do this line, I want this to be R, this to be A0, and this to be B0, and I want the output to be S. Okay, so I have as input A and B, and this is a vectored signal, and it's 3 bits wide. That's the 2:0 says I have 0, 1, and 2. So I have an A0, an A1, and an A2. And I have a B0, a B1, and a B2. So you can treat those like different variables, which we are in this program. In other programs, you can treat them all together as a 3-bit number. And we have 2 wires, S and T. And then when we look down at this bottom part, we see that we are using 3 copies of this module that we wrote before. And schematically, we're just going to draw them as boxes, because we no longer care what's inside them. We took care of that already. We don't care what's inside them anymore. So for our first box, and this is box 0, 1, and 2. And so for our first box, we're going to have R going where C is. And we will have A0 going where D was, and we will have B0 going where E was, and then coming out of this is S. Now it's a wire because it's not an input or an output. I'm not going to say where it's going yet because I don't know where it's going yet. Okay, but now I look at my next for box 1, and the first input is S. So that was my output from the one before, so that has to go up into this first box. And then A1 is the second input, and B1 is the third input, and our output is T. And then if we look at our box 2, T is the first input, and then A2 is the second input, and B2 is the third input. I'm terrible at drawing these. And our output is F. So the point here is to get the idea of reusing code so you don't have to rewrite it, and then also just paying attention to the order that the input and output are.